The Feedback Show. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
How you doing, Dad?
I'm very well.
Yeah?
Yes. Full of the joys of spring, as I say.
It's almost summer now, isn't it?
You're not far off, yeah. Come June.
When is it officially summer?
June, I think. June, July, August. I think those are the 3 months. So it's June.
You don't know when in June? Because I think spring is officially 21st of March, isn't it?
21st of March, which means the 21st of June. I think it's the 21st of June, 21st of June. No, I don't know. No, I think it's September, isn't it? 21st September. We've got to split it into 3 months. June, July, August. But I think you've got to say, if you're saying the 21st of March, you've got to go the 21st of June, haven't you? Oh, yeah.
Well, this is all really relevant to everyone watching the Feedback Show, I'm sure. I shouldn't have asked that question, should I? Opened a can of worms, didn't I?
Again.
Anyway, so we're back with another show giving feedback and advice on your artwork. And this is a service, as you know now, this is a service for members of our website. And if you want to learn how to become a member, then go to colinbradleyart.com and click on the sign up button along the top. Let's crack on, shall we? Stop talking about summer and spring and when they are. Right, I'm going to take us off the screen so I can show this one. Now, this is a picture from Jelena. I think I've said your name right, actually.
I'm sure you're right.
I think we may have said this wrong before. Anyway, email. Hi, Stephen Colin. I'm glad to now be a member and I need help on this project that I'm trying to do. I only have a black and white photo of a dog that died many years ago, when colour photos were not about then. So I would like to surprise my mother and give her a colour photo of him. So far I've been using other dog photos for colour references, and I'm using the Faber-Castell Pitt pencils on a dark grey pastel mat, the largest size out of the two. I would like to attach a photo of my pictures so far, the work in progress, along with the 2 photo references. I've already decided I will put in proper eyes, as it looks not quite right, but I've not done that yet, unless you say it looks okay. I just cannot get the colour right for the fur. Which pencils do you think might work best? Pencil numbers are okay with me. And what do you think of it so far, please, before I carry on with it and make a mess?
I think you're doing a remarkable job, I've got to tell you. One of the most difficult things to do is to look at a black and white photograph, turn it into colour. That's number 1. Number 2 is to do that and get a likeness of that dog from another photograph. You know, a completely different photograph. But you're doing a brilliant job of it. But it's quite easy, actually, because what you've got, if you look at your picture, you're right on target with the black and white picture. You can see how that's coming along. But if you look at the coloured photograph, look at the ears particularly, look at how rich the ears are. All right? Now, you're copying the colour from that photograph, so you've got to use that photograph religiously. Don't think back, oh, I don't think the dog really looked like that. Forget that. You've got to follow what you see. You've got no choice. Now, going by the colour of the ears particularly, you can see yours is a little bit dull compared with that, isn't it? I mean, you've got a little bit more of the other ear, which you haven't yet done, but when you do that, it's not going to be very far removed from the colour photograph picture. A little bit narrower, but so you'll see more of that colour there. So what I would do if I were you is can carry on with the other ear, but this time use 187, 186. Add those to your already existing colours, because you've obviously used ivory in there, and you probably use a little bit of 187, I imagine, but you've got to make it richer. 186 or 187, and I say that because 186 is just a little bit softer than 187, so you'll get a richer look to it. And then you can use 283, which enhances 187, 186, and that will give you that richness, especially if you look at the ear on the far side of the colour. That's it, that's the one. Look at that line, more or less, where you've got the pointer there. You see how rich that is?
It's you pretty much orangey, isn't it?
It's got an orange, and you could actually use a little bit of orange if you want to. There's no reason why you can't. But the 186, 187, 283 will give you that depth that you've got.
That's burnt ochre
I can never remember.
I'm trying to remember.
Terracotta is 186. I can't remember. What
burnt ochre is 187.
Oh, well,
and
you know more than I do.
I've write it enough times. And then 283 is burnt sienna. So
right, yeah.
These are the ochre, the richer ochres, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. And those are the ones. That's what's missing off your picture. And if you put them in your picture, it's going to be great. You're doing a great job, and it's really hard to do that, to try to, especially if it's a dog that's known as well. I mean, very often I'm doing dogs that aren't known. You know, I can play with my animals and think, oh, I can change this and change that. It won't matter because no one is going to say, that's not my, Rover or whatever. So that's an old name, Rover.
I haven't heard that name.
No.
Only out of your mouth.
In my day, that was
Buster or whatever they call the dogs.
Yeah.
So would you put the 187 and 283, 186 anywhere else in the fur?
Oh, absolutely.
All like little bits because you see
I think
little touches.
Gillian, is it Gillian? Gillian?
Oh, what was your name?
You've hidden it up now.
Jelena.
I think she's done that already, but she hasn't put it strong enough. She hasn't got it.
Okay.
She's gone a bit weak with it. But if you put a little bit more of it on, be a little bit more brave. I think that's what you've got to be, and you're going to get a good job of that. It's a good picture, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Make sure you let us see that when you finish it. The grey pastel matte paper is one of my favourites, as you know, and I've done quite a few pictures now on that particular pastel matte, and they all come up really well. So, got a good choice of paper there.
Excellent. Thanks very much for sending that in. So a bit of advice now on a perspective picture for Belinda. She says, I've attached a photo of a horse. It's not the best, but I think you can see the colours involved. What colours do you think that I need to do the head drawing in pastel? So we're looking at the head part of the picture.
Well, you're going to be looking at two parts of it, really. If you look at the top of the head, you've got greys. You're looking at mostly greys, so you'd start off. And I'd keep to the warm greys here. I'll tell you why in a minute. 270, 273, 175. Now, there's also another colour there. Now, you could use black on top of the 175, and that might work all right, but don't ever be frightened of using the 181 as well, even though that's kind of Payne's grey and heads towards the blue. That would still work with that. So those are the colours at the top. Now we go to the bottom, the front, just above the nostrils there. You've got a completely different colour. You've got I would put ivory in there, and I would put 186, 187, exactly the same colours as the...
They are very... You can see the richness there. It's almost...
Where you're going to have a problem here is if you look at the eye, around the eye area, not the eye itself, around the eye, that's it. And right at the top, you see it's two-tone, isn't it?
It's a mixture of the two, isn't it?
So which do you put on first? Well, you put the grey on first. The grey goes down as far as you get to just before you get to the nostrils, actually. You can see just above that you've got a kind of half tone there. The grey would go on as far as that, and then the ivory would take over. And then you put the colours on top, and what would happen is the base grey, which would be the 270 in this case that you'd be putting on, and even you could put even a touch of the 273 as well, and the 187. Okay. And if you're careful, if you're clever, and you can definitely do it, I've done this before myself, you can make it look almost exactly as that animal is there.
By mixing the two lots of tones.
Yes, you've got to melt one into the other. And that will make that a stunning picture. It's a lovely picture. It's nice.
There's really interesting colours for that. So that's why you use 270, because you've got to use the warm. The warm has got to harmonise with the ochres and the ivory.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and absolutely right. Yeah. But you can't use it. You can't use the grey under anywhere that's obviously ochre, because otherwise it will spoil.
Right.
So you've got to stop there. That's why I said the ivory would be the best. You could do. I'm saying you could, but but I wouldn't. There wouldn't be any need to. Otherwise, you could tend to lose the brightness of the ochre if you do that. Because exactly what we're looking for above.
Yeah.
The other thing I would like to point out to Belinda that you may have thought about, you may not have done, the eye itself looks here, and even if you blow that up, you'll see that there's very little ochre in the eye.
And it looks dark.
But it is. Horses' eyes have ochre in them. So what I would do in this situation is do it as you see it there. Follow the picture and add possibly on the lower part of the eye, if you split the eye in two, the lower part of the eye itself, put in 283, just a little touch of 283.
On the 273?
Oh yes, on top of all those colours you put on. Yeah, you can put it on top. You could put it underneath, but that's a bit, you've got to really know what you're doing if you do that. So I wouldn't do that, I'd add it on top. And then you could, if that works well, add just a little bit of 187 as well, just a little touch of that in.
So you're aiming to get really close to that dark colour and then just add a bit of tone into it.
Yeah, I would put it on top rather than put it underneath. Now, if I was doing it myself, I wouldn't have done it that way, but it's too complicated to try and explain to you how I would do it. So do it the way I've said.
Okay.
And it will work. Because what you don't want to do is to spoil the overall impression that you have on that horse at the moment, which is the grey, ochre half-tone.
Right. Okay. Excellent.
But I think that's lovely. I mean, it's a lovely, lovely, lovely animal.
You're tempted,
really
aren't
alert. I'm interested to know whether or not you're going to put the harness on, or not, or as well as you're going to put those the coat on.
I think she said she's going to do the head. I think she may
just the head.
I think then we're probably looking at a crop of the head.
Wouldn't be a problem.
But there we go. There you go. Thanks, Belinda.
I tell you what, though, if you want, I can show you how I would have done that.
All right then.
Get your little.
Okay. Why not?
Go right until I tell you to stop. Stop. Go the other way. Stop. Now you've centred the head now.
Yeah.
Right in the centre of the picture.
Yeah.
Now you've got to go up from the bottom a little, top, and down from the top just a little. Not much. Not much. Not much. Yeah, that's probably about right. You can play with this a little bit. Now what you've got to do, you see, is you've got to make just enough of the neck to be visual. So if you cut any more of that off, it's going to look awful.
Like a floating head.
Yeah, it would look awful. So what you've got to do now, you've also got the a little bit of the coating, haven't you?
Yeah.
What I would do there is I would tend to follow the neck. You can see the neck. You can see it already.
Like that.
And where that coat fits over the horse. You see what I mean? It goes over the horse that way.
Yeah.
So I would put that on as well. I would try. If it didn't work, you can always fade it into the background.
What, you would put the coat in?
No, I wouldn't put the coat in.
You would just follow these colours
follow
and
the
then go
colours
down
and
like
bring them
that?
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
That's how I would do it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Would you
That's
put
up to
that
you.
bit of straw in there?
No, I wouldn't put that to the story.
Okay.
Not unless you want to. You're the artist. And you can easily lose that wooden door, or whatever it is on the other side. You could easily lose that in the background.
Okay.
That's what I do. Just carry on.
There you go. Lovely. Hope that helps, Belinda. Okay, this is from Will. This is Will's picture of the Siamese Kitten. Will says, "Hi Steve and Colin, hope you're both well. Here is my attempt at your amazing Siamese cat, a very enjoyable animal to draw. I struggled with the oversaturation of the paper, as I have done a couple of times in the past. I find it hard when having to apply 3 or 4 colours in an area. You can see when I got to the end to insert the whiskers, the pastel paper was too full. Any advice here would be great. Keep up the good work, lads."
Well, you've got to obviously work on this saturation of the paper. It is a problem that a lot of members have, and it's all to do with practice. The only thing I've suggested before when you get a situation that could reoccur, is to do a section of the picture on spare paper first. And you could do a combination of a little bit of the ear and a little bit of the fur on the top of the head. And just play with that until you get the idea.
Get the pressure right.
Yeah, because once you start putting it on your picture and you think, oh, that's not right, I'll do a bit more, oh, that's not right, I'll do a bit more, by that time you've gone too far. So if you do it a little bit at a time, gradually, on a spare paper first, you will probably crack that idea. You'll crack the way that we can produce it. It's very hard for me because I wouldn't make that mistake now. I did when I started off, but I wouldn't make that mistake. So I can't get into your shoes.
When you had classes, did people do that same thing? Or were you there? I mean, you're there.
No, I'd have stopped them before they got that far.
Right.
You see, when I had classes one-to-one, they would only do the ear and part of the face. They wouldn't do very much before I came round. I said, oh, hang on, wait a minute, you've got a problem
You're
here.
pressing to, yeah.
And then I would actually show them and do a little bit and say, look, do you see the difference? Unfortunately, I can't do that because we've got the whole picture, so it's too late for this one. But for the future, it isn't. There is one thing I would like to point out, though, if I may. If you look at the mouth, particularly, if we go to the mouth, Steve, and we cut down along the line of the mouth on the other side, that's it. Follow that line along, and then up and down the other side.
Oh, like that?
That's right, like that. Now, concentrate on just that one piece, because there are other areas that once I've pointed that out to you, you'll see. You see how harsh it is? It's chalk and cheese job. I've told you many times. You see a light and you see a dark. You see a light and see a dark. The only thing you've got there, where you were running your pointer there, you have got a graduation there. Mm-hmm. But it's above that the main problem
this
is.
bit here.
You see, if you've got to melt that together.
Right.
If you look at mine now, you'll see what I did. It's
sort of blended in, isn't it?
That's right.
So is
that harsh line that you've got doesn't exist on my picture.
So is that easy enough to?
Oh yeah. Well, yes,
what would you do to that?
Oh, you could just you could put the light into the dark and the dark into the light. You can go both ways. You could bring the white into the dark, and then you can bring the dark back into the white again, and gradually you'll end up with what I've got there. Not impossible to do. Certainly, the last section of that doesn't exist on my picture at all. It goes to there, fine, but there that doesn't.
Right.
It's not on my picture, so that's fairly easy to do. You just erase it.
Right.
Plait it off with
a putty rubber. Probably if the paper is slightly had a bit too much.
Yes, that's another
thing. You could erase it, dab it with the putty rubber.
Sure. So these are little tiny things, and you can see that now. I've told you that. You can see it applies all over. You've got other areas as well. Now, those are small things that once pointed out to you, you can see, oh, I can see. What I think another failing, really, with members or people who are starting out, they don't look at the reference picture enough.
Right.
They kind of think, I see that goes down there, right, and then they willy-nilly go along. Half an hour later, they look at it, oh, it doesn't look the same. I constantly view my picture, and people may have seen that on the video when I bring my head forward slightly and I'm doing this all the time. I think, see, what's he doing? I'm looking at the reference picture all the time to keep that clear in my mind how it goes. So I wouldn't get as far as that. I'd have seen it before I got there.
It's having this awareness, isn't it? When I think Will said this is his 5th picture that he's done, and I mean every picture you're doing, you're learning that little bit more. And this is why we're doing the feedback show. Is that we don't just have to write an email back with saying this is what you should do. We can actually discuss it. And I think you've done a really super job on this picture.
For a 4th picture, it's wonderful.
5th picture, I think.
5th picture, wow.
Not that who's counting, but it's these little tweaks. I think will really. I mean, I didn't notice that until you pointed it out. But
you probably wouldn't.
But the idea is that you don't think of it, and when you see yours, then you can see what you need to change.
But you'll only see that if you look at it.
Which is why we put in the feedback show, this is why we put your picture side by side.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I know a lot of our members have suggested that in forums and things like that to say, look at the reference picture.
Constantly. I mean, whatever picture I'm doing, I would lose count. I'd never be able to count how many times I've reviewed it. It's every few seconds. Sometimes, when I'm very confident in what I'm doing and I'm changing what I see in the reference picture, I don't worry so much because I think, okay, I'm on my own now for a little while until I get back on track, and then I'll refer to it again. Because if it's not there on the reference picture and I want to put it on my picture, then looking at the reference picture doesn't help.
Yeah.
It's just small things, but gradually, as time goes on, you'll find your way. As you said, fifth picture, fantastic.
Yeah.
Anybody else looking at that, a layman would look at that and think, what a beautiful job you've done, which he has. But we want to make him better. We want to improve what he does, and he wants to as well.
Yeah.
And that's why he's submitting it to us. And everybody else is in the same situation. And they will. Well, we've seen it, haven't we? We've seen people get, even from the other last feedback show we had, so I can't remember who it was, and they came back to us and said, look, I've done this. What do you think? Oh, fantastic. They see it. You see, as soon as I say, wow, I can see it. Why didn't I think of that?
There you go. That's what this show's for.
Sure.
Okay. I think that's everything that we've got for this feedback show. You can submit your pictures to us by email. Just go to the website, grab the email address and send it over to us with your reference, if it's your own picture, or just a picture of, or a scan preferably, of your work so we can see it, and we'll bring it up on the show. And as always, if you want to learn more about becoming a member, then go to our website, colinbradleyart.com. Thanks, Dad.
Oh, that's all right. My pleasure as usual.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm Stephen Bradley.
Bye.
Bye.